Okay, the prompt was write me a short script about two good friends, Richard and Aaron, on the way to watch the World Cup, where US will defeat Netherlands, and they literally wrote a script in like 5 seconds.
Huh.
I mean, it was so mind blowing. So we just started testing it more. We just started giving more prompts, and we were like, hey, why don't we produce a short film about whatever we want? Let's have 100% have it written by ChatGPT, and we were like, why don't we take it to the next level and have it directed?
All right, welcome back to another one of our CONVOS series. Joining us today is another special guest, Richard Juan. First of all, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that we're going to talk about today. ChatGPT, OpenAI, your new short film that you put out that was completely, written and directed by ChatGPT. But before we get into all that, into the more meat of the conversation, I always like to want to kind of talk about people's background for people that may not know them, so that they can kind of get to know you a little bit better. So for you, kind of, how did you first get your start and interest in film?
For me, well, this is a funny story because I actually grew up in Hong Kong, but I'm currently based in the Philippines. I've been living here for the last, I think 12 years now. And initially, I moved to the Philippines not to be in entertainment, not to do filmmaking, really more of the business route, because I'm not sure how it is out in the US, but in the Philippines, usually if you're Chinese and all that, we are usually very business orientated. Yeah. So that was always the plan growing up. But for some reason, I got discovered to do entertainment, and then that's where I started actually being an on-cam talent first. So I've been an on-cam talent for the last 8 years. And eventually I was like, okay, I feel like there's something new that I need to do. And that's how I started to venture into filmmaking also. And my background actually was broadcast communication. So all these behind the camera stuff I've always been familiar with. And it's always been a dream of mine to kind of marry the two loves. My first love, which is business, and also the love that I fell into, which is entertainment. And so, that's a short version of how everything started.
So I was what would some of the major movies influences on you growing up, and that really made you want to pursue this?
Well, as mentioned, growing up, business was really the goal that I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. But because of me being in entertainment, I've been exposed to a lot more stuff. For example, of course, watching Hong Kong films during the 90s, during the 2000s, those were always, we always produce really great stuff. And I guess the back of my head, I've always wanted to explore those kind of stuff too. And first, and then eventually when I got into this whole entertainment business, I was like, oh my God, there are just so many amazing things. And I got to study more. I don't really study, but more really dive into the whole world a lot more, such as movies that really inspire me are movies like Inception, for example. That's always one of my top favorites. Movies like Interstellar. These are the ones that are mind blowing and I was gonna say mind effing, but these are the type of stuff that I really like.
Okay, cool. And I guess kind of like you said, growing up in Hong Kong, it's very business focused, business oriented. So what is the film industry and the film scene out there based in Hong Kong and in the Philippines where you are now?
Sorry, what was the question?
I said, Hong Kong and that area is very business oriented and, like you said, very business career focused. So what is the film scene? What is the film environment out there?
Oh, so I think Hong Kong, we are quite advanced when it comes to the film scene. There are a couple of very prominent producers and directors out there. For example, Wong Kar-wai. These are someone that are already a global name. In the Philippines, though, I would say we're still relatively young. And that is one of the reasons why I'm venturing into this whole world, because I feel there's so much potential for Filipino content to be put out there to the world to see. Right now in Asia, we have a lot of good stuff that are happening, of course, with the success of Crazy Rich Asian, with the success of K-pop, Korean dramas. And then we have the Thai content that are getting out there also. So I feel Philippines has potential to eventually get to at least not regional, but if not global stage. We have a lot of very talented performers, directors, and hopefully, I can be part of that journey to bring Filipino content out to the world too.
Okay, cool. So what you said, you've been an actor, like you started out being an actor on film in front of the camera. So kind of what was some of your previous work?
For me, I would call myself a host more than an actor. Most of the stuff that I've done are really hosting. My biggest project when it comes to hosting is definitely being one of the hosts for Big Brother Philippines. Big Brother, I think it's pretty big in the US. I think it's a pretty massive show. In the Philippines, it's pretty big too. Not to the level of not as what's the right word here? Not as scandalous as ones in the US. Like the Big Brother here in the Philippines is a lot more demure.
Okay. Yeah, we kind of go all out when it comes to like, reality TV stuff. The more crazy and more stuff.
100%.
So you also have like a full-on YouTube channel with a pretty big following. I want to say over like 140,000. So kind of, how long have you been doing that, and how do you find, the YouTube scene in terms of film is?
Yeah. So for me, YouTube is definitely a great platform for so many producers or even directors, filmmakers to kind of like dip their feet in and trying to get, try to start things out. And it's a great avenue for people to try things out. And for me, YouTube was not exactly my main thing. It's always just been a supplement thing for me to entertain my followers, my fans, and me to kind of like highlight the places that I go to. Because back then, 2-3 years ago, before the pandemic, I used to travel a lot, and I used to document the stuff that I do, those places that I visit, and YouTube is really a platform where I just have a lot of fun with. But it's just that in recent years, especially during the pandemic, when I started my company, 20 Squared Studios, that's where I decided to take things a little bit more serious. Like it's no longer just vlogs, but I try to like level up with my content. Again, if you look at stuff that has been happening to YouTube for the last 10, 12 years, YouTube started out with just video sharing, random videos that come straight off the camcorder. But nowadays you have like full blown films out there, and you have people like Mr. Beast who create unbelievably high budget videos, and YouTube became an avenue where people can actually make money out of it. And I know people like Mr. Beast and all those big YouTubers make millions from every video, and I think it's the business model of YouTube that makes it work for all of creators, and that's just amazing.
Okay. And are you editing most of your video stuff? I saw you do like weekly vlogs, and I know editing can be like a slog for a lot of people.
Yeah, because for me, I've always been a producer and I guess an on-cam talent more than anything. So I'm very lucky to have met a team where they helped me out with my stuff. And eventually we started working together, and they started being part of the team of 28 Squared Studios, my company. So yeah, definitely I understand. The great thing is they know exactly what I want already. Because for the first couple of tries, it's more like me telling them like, hey guys, this is the style that I want. This is what it is. And let's make that happen. And then once they show me a video, when they show me an edit, I was like, okay, do this. And they eventually just got my style. And honestly, like that's the beauty of having a great team and people that you work with who are like-minded, who knows exactly the same thing they want and chase towards the same thing, because you can delegate the stuff to them and they know exactly how to help you.
Okay, cool. And like you said, COVID kind of in the pandemic shut down so much things like all over the world. I know in Asia for sure, they definitely shut down. So kind of like, how were you managing in terms of, the industry being creative? And because, a lot of people weren't able to go out and shoot. So kind of how was that period for you?
Oh man, COVID, bro! Like that was difficult. That was probably one of the most challenging parts of my life, because I remember very vividly. I was doing a show where it was about to be like my next break. I was about to transition, like my character in the show was about to transition to become like a main cast. But COVID happened, pandemic happened, the story got cut short. They killed off my character. And during the pandemic, I was I don't want to use a D word, the depressed word. I don't want to say depressed, but I got really, really upset. Like I was like, oh my God, maybe on-cam stuff is not my thing, because I was just on the verge of, having this main big break, and they just had to kill off the character. So I was like, what am I doing in my life now? What do I want to do next? And that was when I decided that, you know what? evaluating what I have already. I'm very blessed for the last couple of years being able to build my connections around the region here in Asia. I was like, okay, maybe I can connect the dots and maybe start doing something behind the camera. And I mean, it was a risk. I mean, really was a risk considering the fact that, everything shut off, nothing can be shot.
Yeah.
But eventually when things started opening up, that's when we started taking more risk and started doing more videos. And we're very lucky to have clients to trust us to do stuff during the pandemic. And hence why we were able to survive and keep things going until now.
Okay, cool. And that kind of brings us to, this last short film that you had put out called Safe Zone. But before we get to like the interesting part about it is that it was completely written and directed by ChatGPT and OpenAI. So kind of, I want to talk about ChatGPT and OpenAI for a little bit. Like, what is it as you understand it? Like,
wow. I mean, honestly, ChatGPT is something that is just out of the world. This is probably the biggest game changer that's going to happen in the next decade, I think. The fact that right now it can do so many things that we did not expect anything to be like. We didn't think that it's replaceable by humans now. I mean, AIs can literally replace a lot of things that humans can do. And I mean, I can't say 100% replace them, but I feel like it's a time for us to find a common ground and how we work together, because ChatGPT makes things so much easier and so much faster for the whole process, even creatively. But I feel like there are a lot of when it comes to stuff that you don't really have to think, like information based, those you can dig things out right away. But right now, I mean, the funny story is like this whole thing started only because my friend Aaron, who's my co-producer in this short film, literally we were just about on our way to go watch the World Cup, the US against, I think it was Netherlands. It was 3 days after ChatGPT 2.5, or was it 3.0 that was released? And he just showed me the crazy stuff that it can do. And we were like, hey, what if we just tell it to write a script about us going to watch the World Cup on the way there? And it literally just wrote a random script that was quite close to what was happening in the car. We were just like, okay, the prompt was, write me a short script about two good friends, Richard and Aaron, on the way to watch the World Cup where US will defeat Netherlands. And it literally wrote a script in like 5 seconds. I mean, it was so mind blowing. So we just started testing it more. We just started giving more prompts, and we were like, hey, why don't we produce a short film about whatever we want? Let's have 100% have it written by ChatGPT. And we were like, why don't we take it to the next level and have it directed? But of course, when you say directing, when it comes to film, there's so many things that we have to look at. When it comes to directing, there's so many elements such as the casting, etc., etc. So I guess to a certain extent, it wasn't fully directed because we don't know exactly. There's no capacity for us to feed what was shot ready for them to evaluate. Yeah. But at least what happened was we told it, okay, give me the exact camera you want us to use, the lenses you want us to use, the camera movements that you want, the camera framing that you want. Is it a mid shot? Is it a close up? Like, what do you want? Like, it literally gave us the whole list and we just followed it basically. So that's how we claim it to be directed. But of course, there's some stuff that it didn't direct, such as the performance of the actors.
Yes.
Like, we had to self-judge ourselves to say, like, okay, this is probably good enough, and let's just move on to the next sequence. But yeah, that's pretty much sorry, I'm just rambling here. This is just mind-blowing how this thing is used.
It's crazy that you said like give you all these camera shots, camera movements, and everything like that. I wasn't sure if it was able to do every little detail like that, but that's insane that I was able to kind of pick lenses and all this stuff like that.
Yeah, and the next thing after that is we were like, let's put give us the prompt of every single shot, and then we were like, okay, and then let us put this on, let's say, Mid-Journey, on DALL-E. Then it literally created a storyboard for us too. So we had a guide in terms of the shot that was going to happen before we even shot the whole thing. Like, we want to do a video of that too, but then we just got busy. But it's just, we were going to put it side by side to see the exact how similar it was. But of course, when it came to post editing, that was a part where we had to kind of like evaluate ourselves as the editors, as the producers. We're like, okay, I mean, on a normal setting, we'll have the director right there sit with us and tell us which shots the director wants. But since we don't have a physical director, we had to do it ourselves. And we had, so that's why my emphasis here is that it's going to be a collab between AI and humans. It's not going to replace it. Because no matter what, art is still something that I would arguably say that it's still not replaceable as of now, at least with the current ChatGPT or at least the current AI technology. But again, we don't know, man. Like, we don't know. Like, maybe in like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, when when AI becomes even more powerful, it might change. It might be able to dictate. We might be able to feed it information. We might be able to let it scan the room and tell us what to do. So, but yeah, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing.
Man, it's crazy. So, I mean, were you always into artificial intelligence like before all this started, coming out?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I wasn't exactly into it, but I knew of it. Like, I'm a kind of like a geeky guy in a way that I like to know what's up with the world. I like to learn a lot. I read up a lot of different stuff. Like, I know the technology's there. I know that they've been building something like that for the last, I think it was like 5, 6, 7, 8 years. But Aaron is the one that knows all technology, because my friend Aaron, my co-producer, he's the one that's actually in the whole tech world. He actually sold his company. He actually built his first company called Made in Space, which is basically 3D printing in space. And I believe that he sold it to NASA or something like that. And now he's doing a lot of space stuff. We call him Mr. Moon because one of his goals in life is to build a city on Moon within his lifetime, basically. So, yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, obviously ChatGPT, OpenAI has opened a lot of conversations around, not just the film industry, but pretty much every industry. And I guess kind of want to talk about, do you describe to any of the issues and concerns that a lot of people are like bringing up in terms of, let's say, copyright and ownership, plagiarism, replacing jobs? Like, how do you think kind of how that will be managed in the future in terms of AI?
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, for me personally, like, technology is always going to keep moving forward. There's going to be new technology every single day, every single year, every single month, or whatever it is. But it's up to us as humans on how we're going to adapt to new technology. I mean, like 20 years ago, when the internet started, everyone's like, oh my God, why would I want to go to surf the internet? Why would I want to go there? Or people will be like, e-commerce, why would we even want to buy stuff online? We want to have the physical touch. We want to be able to check the items first. We want to do all that. But then nowadays, Amazon and all those different online platforms, e-commerce platforms, because of the pandemic, accelerated everything. Like, it's so normal now to actually be able to want to buy things online and all that. So again, going back like to your question, how will it affect the world? I mean, for me personally, how I see it, it's all about how we adapt to using AI and how do we coexist with AI? How do we make the most of the technology? Because again, especially as creators, as creatives, a lot of the concerns that I read online about the creatives is that, oh my God, I mean, art is now being taken over or whatever. Like, it's ruining the world of art. To a certain extent, like I always say, like it's about really coexisting with technology and mixing the world of art and mixing the world of technology together and trying to make the most out of it. Instead of thinking of it replacing, why not think of it as working together? I think that will make things easier to comprehend and easier to accept, I guess.
Okay, I can see that. But I will say, like, I understand some people's concerns in terms of like maybe bigger studios, instead of paying and hiring for a screenwriter, they just turn to, ChatGPT, something like that. So like, I guess that's also a concern like a lot of people have, because writing is like obviously a big part of the industry.
Yeah.
And if you can do it for such a cheap, fast way, people are kind of worried that studios will try to cut out people that are already there. So
for me, my experience with this was it did not, it gave us a script that is a workable script in a way that we have to improve it. Because I was acting on it too. So what happened there was we were trying to kind of like base it on the script or just follow the script word for word. But when I was acting in it, I was like, oh my God, I feel like it's lacking, it's lacking that proper emotion. So me and my co-producer, Aaron, we were like, hey, you know what? Let's just let all the actors, including myself, be able to freely say whatever we want that fits the moment most. So I guess to a certain extent, at least at this point of time, ChatGPT is still not able to, I guess, deliver emotions in the script.
Yeah.
Hence why it still does not understand the human emotions as well. Hence why it's not able to deliver lines or create lines that are that. So for me, how I see it as a producer, is if someone comes up to me with an idea with a synopsis, I'll be like, okay, ChatGPT, write me the first chapter of this story or the first part of the script, and let's see how it goes. So we'll need to at least have an outline on everything. And as a producer, I'm like, okay, this kind of is going somewhere interesting. Maybe I'll put some money in this and let's try to make this into a bigger thing. But however, if let's say if we have this a full-on writer to write the first part of it, it'll take a lot longer, and it might be a waste of time for that writer if I, as a producer, see and I don't like it. So for me, how I see it, it's more like really saving time more than anything. Like it's really not replacing. It's always about collaborating and working together with technology.
Okay, so you see it kind of as like kind of handling like the first draft or kind of first outline, and then maybe bringing in other people to kind of like flesh it out and bring it together.
Exactly. Like, I mean, not even the first draft. I honestly feel like it's a 0.5 draft. Like okay. it's so rough that there's so much to work. So many things you have to work on to make it a lot better.
Okay. That was going to be one of my questions. Like, did you guys have to do any editing on the script itself and like kind of build it out more, or did you just kind of go with what was straight on there?
Yeah. So the script, we didn't change it. We just let it be whatever it is. But when we were on set, the directive was like basically do whatever you feel is the most natural, but the idea has to be there. That's what we decided to go with, because or else it would be a lot more dry. Like to be honest, to be very transparent with you, if I'm being very honest with myself, looking at it, it's a very dry, it's definitely not an Oscar winning thing, but it's like it's a very good start for something that, I mean, again, like I said, we produced this in 7 days, like from the first day of planning to the end, getting the people, getting the team together. It was literally just 7 days.
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay. I guess another big conversation about like OpenAI and ChatGPT is kind of like interpretation versus interpolation versus like original ideas. Cause, you know, obviously AI pulls from everything in the past and kind of builds onto that. Like, do you see it getting to a point where it can kind of think abstractly and kind of create more original stuff? Or is it always kind of be limited in terms of just interpolating on things that have already been there?
I think honestly, like the more we feed it information, the more it learns. So imagine it basically having the whole world, having everyone that's putting in information and learning from all of that, learning from different movies, different scripts, different articles. I think eventually you'll get to a point where it's able to be very creative, but again, creativity is such an abstract. Like there are so many ways of being creative and no matter what, at the end of the day, it's still an algorithm. And I personally feel that there's still going to be some sort of pattern that you see. Yeah. But the real true creativity will never be replaced by AI, in my opinion.
Okay. And that also kind of brings like the last point is like the democratization of filmmaking. Like obviously digital cameras and phones have basically kind of opened up the world of filmmaking to pretty much anybody and everybody. And do you think this is kind of like the next step, even bigger step to kind of like open it up even more in terms of being able to produce something fully and all?
Yeah. I think it'll definitely open it up a lot more. And I personally feel, because I am somehow somewhat of a perfectionist sometimes, and I like to put out content that has of quality of some sort. And, you know, sometimes not, I mean, to be very transparent, to be very honest, there are a lot of vlogs out there that don't mean anything. There's no substance into it. And I personally like to create content, or majority of my content I create, there's gotta be some sort of substance. You gotta take home something, take away something. But the thing is, with a lot of these short form videos nowadays, like on TikTok, whatever it is, people can go viral with like something that's just literally shot in 2 minutes, compared to someone that puts in like 2 hours worth of work and it does not get anywhere. That only gets like 20 views. So I guess yes, it'll democratize everything, but at the same time, it's also taking away the quality that I wish that that we used to have in this world. Like, I mean, back in the days, like everything that goes on TV, everything that goes on a big screen, there's always different layers of barriers, I guess, barriers of entry. But that creates some sort of at least premium, so that the content out there is always guaranteed to be good. Unlike nowadays, anyone can be a filmmaker, anyone can be a TikToker, anyone can create content, and so hence the quality, the barrier of entry is so low now So the quality also gets lower and lower and lower. So hopefully, we'll still somehow be able to maintain some sort of top quality stuff, and I hope that more people would appreciate these top quality stuff, and instead of all focused on the very rawness, which I know rawness has a different appeal, but yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring up basically quality versus quantity kind of aspect, because in the streaming era, that's a big complaint about like a lot of established creatives and filmmakers, is that they're putting out so much content that they're not even doing quality control. And like, with this introduction of AI and like being able to speed of putting everything out, I can only imagine like what a Netflix can, would be able to put out at the speed of, the things that they're already doing now.
Yes, exactly. I mean, of course, with streaming, people going live, and sometimes, I respect the hustle. But then again, I'm someone that looks for the quality. So I'm like, okay, if you're streaming, what am I taking away from this? When I'm watching you, what am I taking away from this? Besides the fact that, listening to you sing on streams. But, no hate to them at all. No hate to them. But I'm just saying, like, there are people, I mean, nowadays, Gen Zs or Gen Alphas or the younger ones have different tastes when it comes to what they appreciate when it comes to content. And a lot of people prefer the rawness, but me personally, myself, I still prefer the top level, top quality, well produced stuff. And again, like I said, no hate. It's just that different taste. People have different taste. That's the beauty of art.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk about, the short film, the Safe Zone. You labeled it as ChatGPT writes and directs the first AI film in 7 days. So is this officially the first film written and directed by AI?
I believe that we weren't the first written, but we were the first written and directed. Okay. Because again, it depends on how you want to define it. I mean, to be honest, I've read through some of the comments. There were some people arguing that how does it direct? Because like how do they direct, let's say, the actors? Hence why I said earlier that the disclaimer is we did not get to it directed like pretty much every single thing in the sense that what it exactly wants. But when it comes to making sure the output is what the ChatGPT wants, what AI wanted, we had to have intervention coming in. Hence why it became a collab between the producer and the AI director in terms of the AI's vision and the producer's vision, and it became a collab in a sense. But yes, I still believe that it's still considered directed because of the fact that we asked it what exactly are the shots you want, what are the scenes, what are the lenses, what are the camera movements, most importantly, were all determined by ChatGPT.
Okay. And what was kind of like the process of actually creating this, getting it all put together?
Yeah, so the process that we started with, of course, again, like it was just a random idea me and Aaron had. We were just about to go watch football, and we just had this random idea on how do we make this all into a short film. Maybe we can make it work. So we called up, the first person I called up was the director of photography, which is our Audie Flores. We told him that, okay, there's this crazy thing. Can we do a meeting? We want to show you how crazy this thing is. And then once we showed him, he was like, "Oh my God, this is exactly what I need as a DOP, director of photography. I need to know what the lenses are. I need to know what are the camera movements, everything." And he was like, "Oh my God, this is literally doing the job of a director." So that's where we believe that we were correct by saying that this was directed by AI. And next, of course, after that, we started we had a brainstorm session. So me and my business partner Christoph, he's my chief creative officer also. We started brainstorming, me, him, and Aaron. All three of us were just brainstorming random ideas. We were like, ChatGPT, give me 10 different ideas about this certain topic. And we ran through 50 different ideas, and then we liked a couple of them. We're like, okay, now merge this and this together. And hence how we got into the safe zone. So after we got that kind of like a synopsis of it, we were like, okay, now put this into a script, make this into a script. And that's how it was born, I guess. But there's some elements. I mean, of course, the key, for me, how I see it is the key is still us humans being creative, because we were the ones that asked him and decided which one we want to go with. And there were some lines that we just, tossed it in here and there that were part of it. For example, the post-credit scene, which was the Twitter Blue one. During that time, we were like, okay, hey, Twitter Blue was kind of like a big thing, but Elon Musk were like, hey, put in a line where it's a post-credit scene where a news anchor talks about how Twitter Blue is I don't know how Elon Musk bought how Elon Musk bought the safe zone, and if you have Twitter Blue, you can use it for $8, and then came out the whole script of it. So like I said, it's really a collaborative effort between the humans and the AI, and so we were able to insert that here and there.
Okay, yeah, that was going to be my next question. Like, kind of like how detailed did the prompts like have to be? Because you said you brought up Elon Musk, and I think they had a BTS reference. So I was like, how detailed, like how drilled down did you have to like get in terms of like prompting it to create something?
I think no. The initial outline was pretty much everything was ChatGPT. The details of like the Elon Musk, the BTS, was just me and my fellow creatives just being silly, adding things here and there, just to create a little bit of humor here and there. A bit like we are part of our inspiration was Don't Look Up. The one that had Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah, it was part of like, it was kind of like dark. It was kind of like humorous in a way. We were trying to go for that slight element, but not too funny. And again, like I said, it was only a 7-day thing to get the whole team together to find a common schedule. And we were lucky to have a friend who actually works in the whole smart home industry. So we were able to borrow his place and shot there, where you saw the curtain that was closing was all smart home stuff. So that was pretty much how everything was. It was all just us giving some random prompts and us just finding. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have friends out here who are very supportive. They're like, "Oh my god, this is crazy. Let's do it."
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, damn, ChatGPT got jokes, He got a little satire to him that I was like, it might be over for writers at this point,
No, not yet, Fabrice.
So kind of, what were some of the challenges that you experienced, during the creative process and filming when dealing with, an AI script and an AI director?
Yeah. The one of the biggest challenges for us was definitely the part where we forgot about the audio. So we actually had to go dub the whole thing because again, we had a proper director. The director would know exactly that, hey, you need to have the sound guy for this. Don't forget to find the sound guy. And that was something that we were trying to be fast. So we didn't think of a sound guy. We completely forgot about that element. And on the day itself, we were like, holy shit, where is the sound guy? We didn't get a sound guy. So we had to, literally dub everything. We're like, okay, we have lapels here, but let's just hope for the best and that audio's going to be good. But when we got it to the editor was like, nope, boss, this is not going to work. You have to dub this whole thing. And hence why we had to dub that part. But that was one of the major challenges. And the second challenge was definitely for me also as an actor. How do I know that? I mean, am I doing the right emotions here? Is this what the director usually wants? Because the director would usually tell us what it wants. He usually motivate us by saying stuff to make us get into the mood and all that. So that was also another challenge. But and also of course having a physical director presence in the set would definitely help everything so much to calm everyone, to know exactly what's supposed to go where, what's supposed to go next. And we didn't have that. We were just, a very thin team because we didn't even have a production manager. We didn't have anybody that, which is all me and my co-producer and also my business partner to just literally cram everything in 7 days.
Okay. And, I was interested about the dialogue. Like, how did you get like prompts for dialogue? Did you have to touch up any of the dialogue? Like you said, you had to kind of bring out emotion and everything like that. But like, how did the dialogue come about in terms of the film?
Dialogue as in the script, the dialogues from the script, or what do you mean?
Yeah, like specifically kind of what prompts did you use to kind of like, did you ask it like, what did you say right here? Or what does he say to this person? Like, how did that conversation come back? Because it was like a conversation between a half brother, maybe, or a step brother, and then like somebody else. Like, how did it do that?
Yeah. So one of the earlier things that we mentioned through the prompt was, okay, this story we only have these actors. So it was me. My Angelia is actually Aaron's girlfriend, and Denise is a very close friend of mine who's a big actress out here. So we were like, okay, these are the only characters that we can have for that day who committed. So make us a story based on this. So, and then we also mentioned that, the one of the actors is Chinese, the other one's a Filipina, and the other two are Filipina. So go ahead, go do your magic. And then it did the magic, which is to say that, okay, it's a half, I think it was adopted. Was it a half? I think it's adopted. Yeah, adopted. There we go. Adopted sibling, and then So the whole story came out. Literally everything was from ChatGPT.
That's crazy.
So I think in terms of dialogue, our conversation, the only thing that was different was just us doing a lot of ad libs during the shoot itself.
Okay. And what was kind of like the crew's response, like some of the actors, like when they found out that all this is just AI written, like kind of what was their thoughts on it?
Of course, the first thing that we did, we told everyone, guys, this is an AI project, it's a passion project. Let's try it out. Let's try to be the first in the world to do it. And they were like, how? Like, do we not need a director and all this? Actually, to be honest, we actually looked for our first choice DOP wasn't the person we got. We got another DOP and we said that, hey, do you want to do this? And he said no, because he was like, I'm someone that needs an actual director. Tell me what to do. So he was hesitant to be the guinea pig and say that, hey, and we were like, hey, we got ChatGPT. We will literally ask ChatGPT every single time you have a question. And he was like, no, this is too big of a risk. I don't want to do it. Hence why we looked for another person. But here, I mean, I guess this is the other challenge that I didn't mention earlier, is that not everyone is so game right away for this, because they're still hesitant, like, oh my God, this is technology. This is how we're going to do it. We're not used to how this is going to work.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. And kind of how's the editing process? Is ChatGPT involved in that as well, or is that strictly you guys?
Wait, hold on. Give me a second. I'm just going to get my charger. Give me a second. Okay, sorry.
Right.
So for the editing process, it was, so since we have the script, we also have the storyboard. The editor based everything pretty much on whatever it was. But of course, me as a producer and also my chief creative officer, Christoph, who's also, we sat with him. We're like, okay, but everything was through online. We sat with him. We're like, okay, first do the first draft. After first draft, let's see what it looks like. We weren't as satisfied with the shot that he chose. He chose because, again, usually in a proper setting, proper setup, we have a director that would be there to choose the shots. And on our end, we cannot feed it to ChatGPT to choose the shots. We don't know what ChatGPT would prefer. So we had to make those calls. So the editing process was, pretty much like that, like where we had to sit with the editor as producers to go for the shots also. Okay.
And how's the response been so far to, the short film? Because a lot of people have seen it so far and it's kind of buzzing a little bit on YouTube. So what are the comments? What have people been saying about the movie?
On YouTube, on Twitter, it's a mixed response. I would say like almost 50-50. To be honest, on YouTube, comments are a bit harsher than the ones on Twitter.
Always are.
Always are. On Twitter, it was okay, where a lot of people were like, oh my God, the future is coming. This definitely is a good start. Like, it's not like, again, we never claimed this to be an Oscar winning thing or anything like that. We're just like, it's an experiment. And they were like, some comments were positive in that sense that, okay, oh my God, guys, we got to be careful because AI is coming. It's all about working with AI together. Some comments we get are, oh my God, okay, now we don't have to worry about AI yet because look at this shit, stuff like that. To be honest, we're not too disheartened or anything like that, because we knew from the start that we were going to get some backlash. Especially the purists who believe that creativity, art is a human thing. AI should never replace it, that kind of stuff. But for my team, we've always wanted this to be an experiment, just to try things out and see how things go. We want to be pioneers, and at the end of the day, for me, how I see it is technology will always continue to grow. If we weren't the first one to do it, someone else eventually will.
Yeah.
And I guess no matter what, we're able to claim that we were the first, and I'm happy about that.
Well, it was like I think it's successful kind of proof of concept, because I don't think people understand everything that goes into directing and setting up and pre-production. Yeah. So the fact that I was able to do that is I think is a success in its own,
Correct. People just don't notice because again, they see the output. And I understand the common people, all they see is the output. They don't know the process behind on how fast it was to actually produce something in 7 days without having proper script writer, without having a proper director and all that. And hence why, like me and my team at the start, we already knew that there will be backlash for sure. There will be a lot of unhappy people. They'll be like, "Oh, this is nothing." So we're okay. But in general, I think it's a good start. We know that this video, as ChatGPT, as AI becomes more popular, there'll be more and more people be excited or be confused about this whole thing. And actually, the funny thing is, a lot of our viewers of that video were from Eastern Europe, like a lot of them from Poland and that side of the world, and Russia too, actually. So I was like, oh wow, okay.
Okay. I guess, has there been like other people in the industry, other studios, like bigger productions kind of reaching out to you guys yet, or kind of like asking questions about kind of how you did things and anything like that?
Yeah. So here's the thing, like most of our viewers, in fact, are outside the Philippines because we in the Philippines, again, like I mentioned, technology, filmmaking, maybe even to a certain extent, are not as advanced as it is out in the States or in the first world. So it's a bit slow out there. But we've had so many emails that actually come into us asking for us to do interviews and to discuss more about this, and they're mostly actually from the US or from actually one of them was from I think from Germany it was. And we had to say no to that because we don't speak German. And it was going, and then they were like, hey, we can do an English interview and all that. But then again, if they translate whatever we said in the interview, we're not able to kind of like check what it really was. And we decided not to really go for that. But we were like, unless if you put everything in English, then we would do it. So, but yeah, definitely. I think because we did not do as much marketing here in the Philippines, the bigger studios are not too familiar with what this whole thing is. Hence why right now for us as a company, as 28 Squared Studios, we have the first mover advantage. We know how to start with AI and how to find AI to make our lives a lot easier, to maybe even produce things earlier and faster. And I guess it's better this way, and for me, at least in the Philippine context, because I have the advantage of knowing how to use it already.
Yeah, definitely. So what's next? Is there more kind of AI films in the pipeline? We're getting maybe a feature length down the line or something like that?
Yeah, that's a funny thing because we're currently working on a couple of concepts for a couple of full-length films, and one of them we're like thinking, should we try to make a full-length with the help of AI? And see how things go. It's still at the infancy stage, maybe not even infancy, maybe still the fetus stage of everything, but we want to explore that too, if that's possible. But we'll experiment a little bit around. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if someone out there is already doing a full-length film that is supported maybe by AI or maybe fully written by AI. I don't know. Honestly, me as a producer, I don't trust leaving it to ChatGPT to write a full-length film yet. But if, hey, another producer out there is willing to take that risk, go ahead. By all means, But for now, I still see that AI and humans are going to have to collaborate and work together in order to make something that is worthwhile for people to really, really, really want to pay and watch for it. I mean, on YouTube, it's fine. It's free. But like for someone to want to pay to watch, I think it's got to be a collaboration, at least for now.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And, 28 Studios, what's the future of it? What's your goals for this year? You guys had obviously a big introduction to the world with the Safe Zone. So what do you guys got coming?
We have a couple of films that we want to produce this year. One of them is quite advanced in discussion with all parties. Hopefully by the end of the year, we're able to release it. We are expanding to also do a lot more of, not just going to be doing videos, but we want to expand to do a lot more, to maybe even working with a lot of management working with talents to manage them, or maybe becoming a 360 entertainment company. We're still exploring. Like, again, we started during the pandemic. We set the foundation during the pandemic. And now that the pandemic is coming to an end, it's the time for us to really start building and start expanding. And I guess, in the startup world, we call this the exponential stage. And hopefully we can, go exponential during the next couple of years, if not, yeah.
Awesome. All right. Richard Juan, thank you for joining us. I enjoyed the short film. I enjoyed the whole process. I think it's extremely interesting, the things that you were able to do, and congratulations on being, the first one out there.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. That was so much fun talking to you too. Thank you.
Okay, so everybody who's watching this or listening to this, you will find all his details down below in the descriptions. Go follow him. Go check out the short film. We'll have links to that as well. And, be kind in the comments.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys.
All right, thank you.